Hello, welcome to another Gundam Operation 2 video. That is the new suit, Conroy Jegan, which, I mean, it's actually called the Jegan CH, but that's probably what I'm going to be calling it now, is the Conroy Jegan. And, yeah, this is a 550 raid. It's going to be a little bit different from a lot of your typical raids, right? Now, it is a little bit more melee focused, or at least has multiple melee options, but it does have, some really good part breaking. We'll get there when we get there, and it's apparently good enough to where people are going to, they're starting to call this suit overpowered. Now, is it? We're going to get into that. And to help out with this, I do have three matches, well, actually potentially three matches here for you, and they're all going to be played pretty differently, at least from the start, right? The first match, I'm going to be in City Ruins as the last match of the day, and I'll be playing more of a supporting kind of a suit role where my team is definitely taking the lead and being really aggressive. So I'm just kind of playing how I usually play, just kind of holding back and just taking some pot shots where I can to kind of help out. That's also where I got back in S-, so that's nice, I guess. So the second match is going to be an Arctic base. It's going to be a ace match. I believe I do get the ace, and I'll be playing a little bit more aggressively, although I do think I make a couple of mistakes, unfortunate mistakes, in that match. And the third match is also going to be an ace match. I don't remember if I get ace or not, but I will be using my stealth, at least in the beginning, try to have a stealthy approach, right? So completely different ways to play there. And I hope you guys enjoyed them. I gotta say, you know, I always say this when there's a raid suit. I'm not a raid player, so don't expect godlike gameplay, right? But it should satisfy the needs of you know, just knowing what the suit can do. And the suit can do some pretty good stuff, you know. So now we're getting into the slots. The stats, and then the slots for this suit. Starting off, you have 17,000 health with 18 ballistic resistance, 20 beam resistance, 26 melee resistance, 24 range strength, 31 melee strength, 135 movement speed with 220 boost speed, 65 thruster gauge, and 69 turning speed. Nice. And for slots, you have 21 close range, 12 mid range, and 7 long range slots. And the first thing that jumped out to me when I was trying to build this suit is that I couldn't really put a lot of beam resistance on the suit. The most I could get was the level 2 beam resistance, which increases to 26 beam resistance. And the only way to get more is if you do the complex expansion slot, which will be your third enhancement option, which I haven't got there yet. So you will be a little bit fragile if you're looking for some resistances. And I really love having some high beam resistance at a cost that's you know, above 500. So a little bit unfortunate for me, especially since I'm a raid, right? But you can definitely do some other stuff like some melee builds. You can do some thruster gauge stuff. And I believe for all three of these matches, I am doing a part breaking build where I have the level 1 and 2 part breaking parts. I believe the level 1 will do 3% more damage against legs, heads, and backs, and the level 2 will do plus 6%. And I believe that will stack. And yeah, especially with the weapons this suit has, or at least one of the weapons, yeah, that's pretty gross actually. So I'm kind of going a little bit of a glass cannon, I guess you can say, where the closer, you know, I might die in a few hits, but at least I'll try and break somebody's legs, right? And there's a few moments where it actually works out. So yeah, you can definitely have some. You do have some builds here you can go with. And now we're on to the weapons. Starting off with your primary weapons, you have the Jegan D-type bazooka, which is 2,300 damage with 5 rounds and 300 range. And yeah, this is a basic stunning weapon. You know, you don't have a whole lot of range strength on this suit, so it's just going to be a stun as a means to an end to combo into your other weapons or go into your melees, right? So yeah, it's just pretty much just a bazooka. Now, it is the D-type bazooka, so it does have a shorter blast radius compared to other bazookas, so keep that in mind. And I'm a little bit disappointed because in the description for this suit, it says that it can use the beam rifle and a sawed-off shotgun, which this suit, I can see maybe why they didn't give it a sawed-off shotgun, but I did wish this thing had a beam rifle. That way I can actually use it quicker, because the bazooka does have a slower ready-up time, so I wish I had the beam rifle to kind of combo easier, but unfortunately you just have the D-type bazooka to choose. Now, your melee primary weapon is the Aqua's Beam Saber, which is 2,200 damage. This has the typical melee, I believe, as the regular Jegan and the Aqua's Jegan. And yeah, it doesn't do too much damage. It's kind of a way to combo into that. Now, against supports, it'll do the job against supports, right? It'll do the job. But if you're going to be combo, you're not going to be doing insane damage to generals, right? That's what you have other weapons for, but... So yeah, it does the job, right? For what when it's needed, right? Now we're on to your secondary weapon. Starting off, you have the beast itself, Conroy's Handgun, which is 1,000 damage with 12 rounds and 125 range. Now this is very short range, and it actually fires a burst round of 2 shots. So you know that'll be going down pretty quick if you're spamming that, but you do want to be spamming this. It does stun in 4 hits. That's 2 bursts, and it does a lot of part breaking damage, or at least just part damage in general. It's just so, it's really honestly kind of gross at times. In fact, at some moments, you don't even have to do a melee combo. You can just straight up just shoot somebody with the bazooka and then go into the handgun, because the damage output is really crazy, where the base damage is 1,000. You can almost one combo a support just by using a bazooka or other stuns into this weapon. And it's also really good for, again, like I said, part breaking, where you can use it to just aim for people's legs, and even if, you know, eventually maybe you'll die or something, at least you'll weaken them enough to where if they boost, they're kind of screwed over, you know? And I believe there's a few moments in these matches where I'll at least damage somebody enough to where they have to get out of their suits during a match, and that means it's one less person on the battlefield, or at least one person that's preoccupied, right? And that's really fantastic. This is actually, to me, the shining weapon on this suit. It is really damn good. Now, of course, it is short range, so you can't just be spamming this like from a distance, right? That'd be really fucking gross. But yeah, this is a really, really good weapon, and you'll see me use this quite often, even when I could be like meleeing, you know. That's how pretty good it is. You just have to be careful around damage control units, because or suits that do have damage control, because it will take obviously more than 4 shots, which can be pretty hampering if you're trying to use this as a way to get a stun. So keep that in mind, that maybe you don't want to use this all the time. I learned that hard way, but we're on to the next weapon here, which is Conroy's Dagger Knife, which is 2,000 damage, and yeah, this is it does a lot more damage. It has a higher modifier than the Beam Saber, at least from what I remember. The neutral swing, I believe, is the same as the Ifrit Schneid's neutral swing with its heat daggers. And the downswing, just does this really crazy stab combo. It's very short range though, and it does have the potential to just completely whiff if a suit is lying on the ground. So if you want to use it, you probably want to start off using the heat dagger and then go into your beam saber, or at least if you're going to do the downswing on your beam saber, get to the downswing as fast as possible, or your neutral, whatever you want to, on the heat dagger while they're being toppled. The side swings also will completely just whiff if somebody's on the ground, unless, you know, they're a big chunky suit. But yeah, it does do a good amount of damage. That is the weapon that will be doing the damage for melee. And even though the description of the suit says, maybe they fixed it by now, but it said that it doesn't have a rapid combo, that is a bold-faced lie. You can. So you can do 2 melee swings, go into beam saber, 2 melee swings, back to the heat dagger, and so forth. So you do have a way to continue to combo somebody, but again, you do have really short range, so do be careful when you are using this. The downswing does come out pretty fast though, so you can definitely use that to catch people. I think I've used it to where somebody is coming at me with their own downswing, and I think even if I get hit with it, my downswing comes out fast enough to where it'll still catch them and they'll get hit and knocked down too, so pretty good. The final weapon here is, okay, you guys can start laughing, you know, it's the fire nut, nut, haha. His 500 damage with 3 rounds and 150 range. This is actually a damage over time weapon. The initial impact, of course, you know, as it says, 500 damage, and it'll actually do 5 ticks of damage over time. It'll be 500 every time. I believe that'll be 2,500 damage in total. And this actually does have a little bit of utility. And what the fire nut here does is when you nut on somebody, it will it will make it to where whenever they boost around, it will take more thruster gauge out of them to boost. And if they happen to do a dodge roll, or if they overheat, it will make their overheat really, really long for a couple of seconds. I'm talking like, if you ever play a suit that has overboost, that's what it feels like if you do a dodge roll, or if you run out of thruster gauge, or you overheat your thruster gauge when you're on fire by this weapon. So you can totally use this to kind of bait people. You hit somebody with this, bait them into doing a dodge roll, and then they have to wait forever to do something else. And honestly, I don't know how this works against double dodge roll units, but if this does take more thruster gauge off of a suit, if this actually makes it to where double dodge roll suits can only do one dodge roll, that will be really, really significant in countering those kind of suits, right? But yeah, it only works though if you hit them first with this. I believe if they already did a dodge roll and you hit them with this, it doesn't actually. No, I think it might work. There's still a few unknowns with this, but it is really good. You'll see me using it a lot to initiate and then combo into something else. That way, I want them to dodge roll. I want them to wait a while before they can act again in regards to boosting and thrusting. So it is a pretty nice weapon. Of course, it does have a high amount of damage over time. Again, 2,500 damage all around. It's definitely a weapon you want to use if you have a teammate around as well. Again, just to get people to dodge roll, right? So if you got somebody that's being really aggressive and you're tossing nades at somebody while your teammate is, again, being aggressive and making them dodge roll, they can't do anything else, really. It's going to be hard to get away from them. So yeah, it's nice that this thing has utility. And now we're on to the skills. Starting off here, you have the Assault Booster level 2, you have Balancers, you have AMBAC level 2, Maneuver Armor level 2, so it'll take, you'll tank instant stuns while you're boosting. You have Force Injector, so you can boost back and forth rapidly. You have Melee Combo Controller. Now, unlike other raids, you only have 2 melee swings, while a lot of the other ones will have 3, right? You have a Dodge Roll, you have Flight Control level 2, so you can boost in the air or jump in the air. You have Blast Stabilizer, so mobile suit explosions will not affect you. You have Radar level 2, so you have a bigger radar. You have Backbinder Cushioning level 2, so your back, whenever you hit in the back, you'll take 15% less damage. You do have Stealth level 1, which will work all the way until you're 100 meters away from an enemy. So yeah, you just have Stealth. Now, that can be really useful for a lot of the different maps like City Ruins and whatnot. So yeah, pretty nice to have Stealth. And finally, you have a new skill which is called Precision Melee. And what this does, if you have a melee weapon, if you hit somebody in the back, the HP damage will be, from what it says, it will be converted to output that to parts. I don't know if this spreads evenly throughout the parts. Like, if let's say you do 1,000 damage to somebody with your melee weapon, you hit them from behind. I'm not sure if that means like the head will take whatever 500 damage would be and the legs would take 500 damage, or if it'll just randomly kind of spread out. And honestly, the name kind of fits, Precision Melee, where honestly I haven't really noticed too much use out of it. And there's going to be moments where it feels like, you're definitely behind somebody to attack them, but with the way some of your melee patterns are, sometimes, like, let's say if you're doing a downswing, how, you're going in diagonal, what if it hits the side of their arm, right? Does that count? Does the game count you being behind somebody as being behind them, or the strike itself being behind them? That I haven't figured out yet, and from testing with a friend, using this and testing out how it works, it seems it's very inconsistent. So I don't really care for this skill at the moment. I guess it's nice to have when you know, if you're doing leg breaking, you know, it can help out with that. If you're going to, you know, let's say you're coming up against a support, you know, you're using your stealth, you walk up, give them the good old backstab, you know, Team Fortress 2 style. They're on the ground, and then you pull out your beam weapons or your whatever to shoot somebody's legs. I guess that can help out for part breaking. So I guess that's a thing. But again, it feels pretty inconsistent. I'm not sure if honestly, just use the handgun. The handgun's just a way better part breaking option from me just using this. Almost almost pretty guaranteed if you're a really good shot with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Conroy Jegan here. And now we're getting to the pros and cons. Starting off with the cons, this suit is pretty fragile, and if you want to build this for beam defense, you do have to actually upgrade this suit, I believe 3 times to get at least put a level 3 beam part on. So it is pretty fragile, and you are a raid at 550. So if you know, I believe at 550 there's stuff like the well, not only hard-hitting generals and other raids, but you also have stuff that will counter you, like the Ewag Jegan with its ability to spot you, with the you know, the Redome head and all that good stuff. So that can ruin your stealth gameplay. You can get spotted. The melee damage isn't you know, it's not super amazing. The heat dagger can be pretty good. It does have some pretty good damage potential, especially against supports, which should be obvious your raid. The beam saber though is kind of weak, kind of lackluster, but you know, it can combo, which is pretty nice. Anything else I can think of for this suit down? You know, for a downside, not really much anything else. It mostly is just a fragile suit. The legs will break easily if you're not building for that. So be aware of how you want to approach somebody, because you could end up being messed up yourself. And I believe there's a few moments in these matches where the wrong misstep and I can just completely die. So not the best for me, right? But yeah, now we're on to the pros for this suit. Starting off, yeah, the Conroy handgun is just, again, the shining weapon in this kit. That is a really, really great weapon. Really great at part breaking, really great at just damage output. Again, like, the base damage is 1,000, and you get 12 shots. So if you hit all that on a support, it's really gross. You can do a combo with just the bazooka and this, or you know, the fire nut and then this, to just completely decimate a poor support who doesn't have a dodge roll. So make sure if you're going to be fighting this thing that you keep an eye on your support, because he'll get bullied if saying it's close. Now again, the good part is that or the good thing is that it does have short range, and it does require at least stun accumulation to work. So just make sure you don't get your legs broken. Put some leg armor on, which has helped me a lot. On the build I mentioned earlier, my leg breaking part build, I actually made sure to counter fellow leg breaking suits where I actually have like level 3, level 4 leg armor on. So if they attempt to break my legs, I can survive that and break their legs instead. So yeah, keep that in mind with the handgun. The handgun is really good at breaking legs, and honestly a really good weapon on its own, where you don't have to do the melee all the time, which will lead into another pro, is that you do have multiple melee weapons. And they do have a conjunction with a skill, the precision melee, which is I guess I don't want to say this is exactly a downside. It is inconsistent, but you know, it's better that it works and just not be completely useless, right? So it's kind of in the middle ground, right, between a pro and a con, kind of just there, right? The precision melee. I guess they needed something to compete with precision sniping, right? But even if it works, it works. Something else pro-wise for this suit, you do have some pretty good skills. You do have some typical stuff like, hey, you got a dodge roll, you got maneuver armor level 2, so that does cover some basics of you know, defense tools, right? Defense skills. But you do have to be careful because you don't have damage control. So if suits can use stun accumulation against you if you're boosting. Anything else? Oh, stealth as well. Stealth is really good. just not appearing on people's radar until you're 100 meters away from them, or 100 m, wherever they want to convert that to. That is definitely going to help out in you getting close to a enemy support, if you're going for the flank. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Conroy's Jegan here. And yeah, this is a pretty nice suit. Now, do I think it's overpowered? Not really. Now, this suit does have really strong aspects to it. Oh, I forgot to mention another pro, the fire nut grenade. My bad. But yeah, back to the suit. I don't think it's overpowered. I think it's certainly strong in part breaking with the handgun, but I think there's enough going on downside wise for Conroy's Jegan that I think I don't think it's going to be overpowered. It reminds me a lot of the Shazar Team A Jesta when it came out. People were screaming their heads off that it was overpowered, and I was just kind of like, let's wait and see how people will fight this, right? And yeah, eventually just the Shazar Team A got buffed because it wasn't doing that well. They made the heavy attack even stronger, Jesus Christ. But I think it was because that suit was pretty fragile as well. The Jegan here, Conroy's Jegan, again, it's a very fragile suit. It has pretty easy to break legs. It is a raid at 550, and if the enemy just fucks up, they're gonna get fucked up. So it does have really good potential though. Like, you have a really good raid player, it can be a really good suit. And I'm not saying it's a bad suit, right? I just don't think it's gonna be exactly overpowered. I feel like for it to be overpowered, it would have to have a lot of things going for it in all regards, right? Like it has ways to handle itself without getting destroyed easily. Something like the Sinanju Stein, right? Where the Stein kind of has an answer for everything, right? I don't think the Jegan here, Conroy's Jegan, is that way. And certainly fighting it and being in it, I feel like it can be handled. So yeah, that's gonna be it for Conroy's Jegan here. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe if you want. I'd really appreciate it. And type up in the comment section how you feel about Conroy's Jegan. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And yeah, I like it. I mean, it's a lot different from the typical kind of raid gameplay people would expect, and that's kind of why I kind of enjoyed playing it, because I can play a little bit more range with it. And I do like playing. I don't like the latency in this game when it comes to melee, so it certainly favors me. Although I do get killed pretty easily, so it doesn't favor me in that regard. It's not going to be a raid that it's not going to be one that I'm going to go to constantly. Obviously I don't go to raids too much, but I can see myself picking this every now and then, just to be like, oh, okay, well, we need a raid. Okay, I'll pick a raid whenever that happens. Usually we do have a raid anyway, because people love playing the motherfuckers, right? So, and again, I don't think it's overpowered. I think it's pretty fragile enough to where if it makes a mistake, it can get punished pretty hard, and enough to where somebody can almost one combo it, essentially, depending on the suit, of course, right? It's not like the fucking level 3 Barzam's just gonna one combo it, right? I'm talking stuff like the Ausla that just came out, right? A recent 550 general, or something else. But yeah, I think the Jegan here, I think it's a pretty good suit. In what I'm assuming the devs want you to do with it, which is breaking legs. And honestly, it can work pretty well, not as just like a stealth raid. As you saw in these potentially three matches, there's moments where I kind of play as like a backup to help somebody, like a supporting role, right? And it works pretty well. So yeah, that'll be it, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
Unit destroyed. Get out there and try again. 1 minute left. Bring that victory home. victory.